Hello, greetings to everyone and welcome to this video lecture. And this video lecture is a continuation of the lecture we have already heard last time. In the last video lecture, I was trying to explain the principle of causality because we are dealing with the chapter, the principles and methods of science. I told that cause is something constitutive of many factors as conditions, but we distinguish between two conditions operating as cause, namely necessary conditions and sufficient conditions. And I said that cause is sufficient conditions comprising of all necessary conditions. And in line with that, it was further explained proximate cause and remote cause, then sufficient conditions as positive or necessary conditions as negative conditions, etc. And we said that apart from the conditions, we were trying to know what is actually the causing and effecting as relations of two processes, which we attribute to some agent such as petrol producing the running of the car or John's hitting brake in the window. What the causing and effecting of the relations is further explained by sciences, we said. And then we went into a philosophical analysis of the actual causing and effecting and cause as causality. On a philosophical analysis by various philosophers, particularly with John Locke and David Hume, we understood that causing and effecting is something empirical and experiential, and it is not actually experienced. What we speak as cause and effect are not real, but part of our habit of thinking in association of two things found to be always together as cause and effect. Thus, we understand that there is a causal connection between certain circumstances as cause followed by certain phenomenon as effect, though we do not experience the real causing and effecting. The real cause is not in our experience. We have not yet got to say in a certain way the real causing and effecting. But the sciences and our day-to-day life is centered on finding out the cause of events and occurrences. And John Stuart Mill, now speaking on cause, he gives us 5 canons which he called as the different methods of inductive inference, which helps or which is said to be involved in every investigation of finding out the causal connection of circumstances as cause and phenomenon as effect. Thus, there are 5 methods. The first one is the method of agreement, the second the method of difference, the third the joint method of agreement and difference, the method of residues and the method of concomitant variation. These are the 5 methods. These are Mill's methods for discovering the causal connection. Now let us move to the first method, the method of agreement. In the method of agreement, the factor present in 2 or more cases of a phenomenon is likely to be the cause of that phenomenon. That factor will be the cause of that phenomenon. If 2 or more instances of the phenomenon have only one circumstance in common, that circumstance in which alone all the instances agree is the cause or effect of the given phenomenon. In other words, the one factor or circumstance that is common to all the cases of the phenomenon is likely to be the cause or effect of that phenomenon. Schematically, the method of agreement can be represented as follows. Now I explain this schema, but you can very well read in the study material given, the notes are given, and the notes it is well represented in a schematic formula. Suppose the capital letter A, B, C, D as circumstances occur together with the small letter W, X, Y, Z. That is one occurrence, and its occurrence with a circumstance and phenomenon. And then there is another one. The first one is A, B, C, D with W, X, Y, Z. The second one is A, E, F, G occur together with W, T, U, V. So in the second one, there is A, which was already there in the first one, and then it is E, F, G together with W, T, U, V. Now the common phenomenon that is found in both these cases is that in this circumstance there is A as common, and in the phenomenon that occurred as effect there is W as common. Because when there is A there was W, and the second case there is A and W is there. Therefore, it is to conclude that A is the cause or effect of W. And the use of the method of agreement has led to many discoveries. For example, the rates of dental decay were found to be much lower in several cities for some unknown reason. What is the reason? The investigations revealed that there was one circumstance common to all those cities where the dental decay was found to be much lower, that is, namely, the presence of an unusually high level of fluorine in their water supplies. Accordingly, it was inferred that the use of fluorine can cause a decrease in the incidence of dental decay. In short, whenever we find a single circumstance common to all instances of a given phenomenon, we may believe that we have discovered its cause. This is the method of agreement. This method is used in many of our day-to-day life experience, though it has got its own limitations. It's not a fully accepted method. Now, the method of difference. Mill formulates the method of difference as follows. The one factor absent in two or more cases of a phenomenon is likely to be the cause of that phenomenon. The one factor or circumstance whose absence or presence distinguishes all cases in which the phenomenon under investigation occurs from those cases in which it does not occur is likely to be the cause or part of the cause of that phenomenon. So this is represented schematically as saying that it is the common factor that is absent is taken as the cause. For example, A, B, C, D as the circumstances occur together with W, X, Y, Z. Now the second phenomenon, there is no A, but B, C, D occur together with X, Y, Z, and what occurs together with, there is the absence of W. So in the first case there was the A was there, and along with that W was there. In the second occurrence, without A, only B, C, D occur, without W but X, Y, Z. Therefore, the common circumstance and phenomenon absent is A and W. So from the common circumstance that is absent, or the difference from the first one is A by its absence, and A and W. Therefore, A is taken as the cause or the effect or an indispensable part of the cause of W. For example, in a student's body, a number of students who ate rice, meat curry, vegetable curry and curd became sick of diarrhea and vomiting. However, one student did not take meat curry but did not become sick. We may conclude the cause of the student's sickness as taking or eating meat curry, and from there it is the common phenomenon that the absent is the meat curry and not being sick. So it is the method of difference. Then the third method, the joint method of agreement and difference. The two methods that we have just seen are put together as a joint method of agreement and difference. Although perhaps not a separated method, it is a combination of the two methods which we have already seen. Of the method of agreement and the method of difference, it gives much more certainty to the conclusion. So both these methods put together to the causal connection, it gives much more probability and certainty, a more certainty to the conclusion. Joint method of agreement and difference is simply the use of both the method of agreement and the method of difference in the same investigation. So its pattern is A, B, C occurs with X, Y, Z. Then the second case, A, D, E, that occurs with X, T, W. So the common thing that is present is A and X. In the method of absence, there is again another method of absence. There is A, B, C, there is X, Y, Z. The second case, there is B, C, A is absent, and what happens together with is Y, Z, and their X is absent. So in the first, the method of agreement, there is a common case of presence of A together with the X, and in the second case also the rest is eliminated as being absent, and the A is present with the X. The second case, the method of difference, A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and A is absent in the second occurrence, the only B, C is present and X is also absent. Naturally, from both these cases of agreement and difference of the two analysis, it becomes more probable and more certain that A is the effect or the cause or an indispensable part of the cause of X. Since each method used separately affords some probability to the conclusion, their joint use as illustrated affords a higher probability to conclusion. Now, for example, to find out the cause of insomnia or sleeplessness in a person, how to find out the cause of that? What we do usually is that, or applying this method, we take the circumstances preceding sleepless nights have to be compared with those preceding nights those nights of satisfactory rest. The circumstances preceding sleepless nights have to be compared with those nights of satisfactory rest. That's the first night. Many hours of prolonged study. Prolonged study, heavy meal, mental rest, a cup of coffee. So the nights of insomnia is taken and compared with those days where the person had a satisfactory rest. So the first night is he had many hours of prolonged study, heavy meal, mental rest, a cup of coffee. Second night there was prolonged study, light meal, mental unrest, a cup of strong coffee. Third night, a very little study but heavy meal, mental unrest, a cup of strong coffee. Fourth night, no study, heavy meal, mental rest, but a cup of coffee. The patient suffered from sleeplessness in all 4 nights, and one factor present in all 4 nights is a cup of strong coffee. Using the method of agreement, we can conclude that drinking strong coffee at night is the cause of sleeplessness or insomnia. Here we find the presence of the cause and the presence of the effect. Now we examine the circumstances that the nights of satisfactory rest and apply the method of disagreement. The first night, prolonged study, heavy meal, mental rest. And second night, prolonged study, light meal, mental rest. Third night, very little study, heavy meal, mental rest. And fourth night, no study, heavy meal, mental rest. And we find that the one factor in comparison to the nights of insomnia is the absence of a cup of strong coffee. So one factor absent in all the 4 nights is a cup of strong coffee. Using the method of disagreement, we may conclude that once the patient had satisfactory rest, when he did not drink strong coffee, this latter is the cause of sleeplessness. That is the strong coffee. So here we see that the absence of the cause and so the absence of the effect. Employing the joint method of agreement and disagreement, we can conclude that drinking strong coffee is the cause of insomnia. Now we come to the method of residues. The one common factor present or absent in 2 or more cases of a phenomenon is likely to be the cause of that phenomenon. That is the method of residues. When some portion of the phenomenon to the consequence antecedent to the consequent of the antecedent circumstance, we may conclude or we may infer that the phenomenon is the effect of the remaining antecedents. It can be schematically represented as follows: A, B, C followed by X, Y, Z. Now, what is known, the causes of known circumstances, that the circumstances as causes of a certain phenomenon is that B is known to be the cause of Y, C is known to be the cause of Z. Now what is the remaining? Remaining is A. A is what is the A? Therefore, and the other side it is a X. Naturally, having known B is the cause of Y and C is the cause of Z, the remaining one is A and X. Therefore, the remaining circumstance and the phenomenon are to be taken in causal connection as A is the cause of X. This method can be illustrated with the example of weighing truck with a cargo. The truck is weighed when empty and then it is weighed again when it had been loaded. So the weight of the load is the weight of the loaded truck minus the weight of the empty truck. That is very simple. Now the fifth method is the method of concomitant variation. This method is something very special from the other 4 methods. The 4 methods of Mill have a common pattern. They are all eliminative in the method of agreement. And in the method of agreement, we eliminate as possible causes of a given phenomenon all those circumstances in whose absence the phenomenon can occur, and the remaining circumstance is then inferred to be its cause. In the method of difference, we exclude one of the circumstances that accompany a given phenomenon while leaving the other circumstances the same. If the phenomenon does not occur, we infer that the remaining circumstances can be eliminated as possible causes. We have already seen that. And both these together is the method of joint, and both these eliminations are applicable in the third method of joint method of agreement and difference. Here we conclude that the one circumstance whose absence prevents the occurrence of the phenomenon is the cause of that phenomenon. The second method also proceeds by elimination. Then the joint method of agreement and difference is also essentially eliminative, while the method of residues proceeds by eliminating as possible causes those antecedent circumstances whose effects have already been established by non-inductions. Now, there are situations, and apart from these methods and their application, there are situations in which some circumstances cannot be eliminated. Here, none of the 4 methods is applicable. For example, the cause of the phenomenon of the tides cannot be established by any of the first 4 methods. Tides means the high water at sometimes the sea water is having high tides at certain times of the month. But when we find that all the variations in the position of the moon are followed by corresponding variation in the time and place of high water in the sea, we have evidence that moon is wholly and partially the cause of the tides. But this argument proceeds according to the method of concomitant variation. Because the moon alone cannot be taken as the cause of the tides, because along with the moon there are stars. So how to establish that moon, or how to establish the causal connection between the moon and the high water? This argument proceeds according to the method of concomitant variation, that this method can be stated as follows. When the variations in one phenomenon are highly correlated with the variations in another phenomenon, one of the two is likely to be the cause of the other. Now we can schematically represent this method by indicating the greater or lesser degree to which a various phenomenon is present in a given situation by A, B, C with a plus and minus. So it will be very clear in the study material, in the notes given. It is very simple, and if anyone has any doubt, it can clarify it, and there will be occasion for that. So A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Now A plus B, C, there is a phenomenon X plus Y, Z. Now there is A minus B, C, there is X minus Y, Z. Therefore, A and X are causally connected is to be established. When there is A plus, there is X plus. When there is A minus, there is X minus. Naturally, there are two factors. A circumstance and its phenomena and their variations are concomitantly related. And from that, it is well established that A and X are causally connected. Now, taking these methods of Mill, how are we to evaluate, and how do we accept their methods given by Mills? And it is evaluated or criticized in two general ways. First, it is said that they do not fulfill the claims made for them, and secondly, they do not serve as an adequate or complete account of the scientific method. Now, Mill claims that if scientific discoveries are ever being made by observation and experiment, the process used must have been reducible to one or the other of his methods, because he was convinced that his methods carefully applied would yield scientific discovery. Further, he claims that the methods would supply proof of the causal connections. He claims the methods as the rules of syllogism. Just as the rules governing valid syllogism establish the conclusiveness of deductive arguments, so he thought and claims that these methods of his could serve as rules that could establish the conclusiveness of inductive arguments. But to these claims, when we evaluate, at first the methods are not sufficient to account for the discovery of causal laws. The reason is that it is essential that the relevant factors and circumstances in any investigation be identified for the methods to be applied. So we need to identify the relevant circumstances and factors, not any circumstance and any factors. In any scientific investigation, it is impossible to examine all circumstances, but only relevant circumstances. If we do not examine in the relevant ones, the methods cannot yield correct scientific laws. Therefore, to find out the relevant circumstance and then establish the rule is how far we can accept in a scientific way is to be rethought. Therefore, Mill's methods by themselves cannot be the methods for the discovery of scientific laws. Then second point is that the methods cannot provide rules for the proof of scientific laws. The reason is that since the methods must rely on a preceding analysis of the circumstances And since that analysis may be mistaken, the use of the methods based on that analysis also may be mistaken. Thus, Mill's method, although of greatest importance in science, cannot do all that he claimed for them, because there are no mechanical methods for scientific discovery. Now we come to the plurality of causes. There is another thing that Stuart J.S. Mill claims is regarding the plurality of causes. Mill speaks about the plurality of causes. He says that it is not true that one effect must be connected with only one cause. There are often several independent causes for the same effect. A given effect may really be produced by a certain cause and yet be perfectly capable of being produced without it. For example, many causes may cause a death. Or suppose a house burns down. What is the cause of this event? Perhaps the house was destroyed by an overturned kerosene lamp, or because of a defective electric wiring, or because of a faulty chimney. Now, it cannot be said that fire was caused by the presence of oxygen, which is the most general condition for the fires to occur, as we have already said, the necessary condition and sufficient condition. What is required is to find the special conditions under which the particular fire occurred, the action or the event, or by how this has occurred. This is what, for instance, the insurance companies want to find out when they investigate the cause of a fire. Also, the physicians wanting to find out particular cause of a person's death. For now, if the doctrine of the plurality of causes were true, how could we ever be able to infer the cause of the fire from an examination of the ruins of a destroyed house? We frequently infer the true cause from an effect. Fire insurance companies do so continually. So also a medical examiner is able to establish the real cause of a person's death in spite of the alleged plurality of causes of death. Hence, we cannot properly assert plurality of causes. When a plurality of causes is asserted for an effect, it means that effect is not analyzed very carefully. Very often, small instances may give clue to the cause of a particular event. Experts are able to notice such clues, which may lead to the cause. Thus, the way in which a house burns down an overturned lamp is the cause is not the same as when defective wiring is the cause. The doctrine of the plurality of causes overlooks many differentiating factors present in several instances of a so-called effect. Hence, we cannot hold the doctrine of the plurality of causes, at least in reference to our acceptable practices of the day-to-day investigations, and to find out the causes of the happenings. We can say that this plurality of causes are not plausible, because we go by particular causes and events and find out the real cause and the persons and the agents and the action and the events of things. Thus, we go with our day-to-day life in a scientific way, and this is how causes and principles are working in our day-to-day life and science and practice of sciences, and how these sciences are used in our day-to-day life. And with these principles of how causality and causal connection, though we do not know the real cause and it's not given to experience the causing and effecting in the circumstances to certain phenomenon, but we find there are causal connections between circumstances and phenomenon, between two objects, and how far how far are we able to explain the universe based on these principles and methods? To what extent are they sufficient enough to give a certainty of the knowledge of the reality of the world, the material universe, and which we will see in the next video lectures. There we move to the next chapter, the space of our world. Thank you.